The world just witnessed a chilling revelation. Russia's stealth fighter may not be what we thought. While NATO kept its eyes on American and European prototypes, still stuck on drawing boards, Moscow quietly upgraded its Su-57 into something far more dangerous. A machine infused with sixth-generation technology that could change the face of war forever. Is this Russia's greatest leap in decades? Or the boldest deception in modern military history? Let's uncover the truth. Deep inside Russian airspace, 8 Su-57 prototypes have been flying missions no NATO radar expected. These aren't routine test flights. According to Vladimir Mikhailov, a top advisor at Rostec, Russia has been secretly embedding sixth-generation components onto its fifth-generation fighter. The work began quietly in 2023, when new flight controls and navigation systems were tested on PKFA airframes. But this wasn't just a software patch. Engineers were rebuilding the fighter's electronic warfare capabilities from scratch. The new radar doesn't only detect threats, it scouts, maps, and relays live battlefield data. Meanwhile, the electronic warfare suite can jam enemy signals while tracking them at the same time. Over 700 test flights have already logged performance data, leaving NATO analysts deeply unsettled. For years, the West believed the US and Europe had the timeline advantage, but Russia claims it already has sixth-generation systems in the sky. If true, the implications are staggering. A unified electronic warfare system means Russian aircraft could coordinate in real time, share targeting data, and overwhelm defenses with precision. Even more unsettling is the fighter's dual-mode capability. It can operate manned or unmanned. Imagine swarms of autonomous fighters flying alongside human pilots. A nightmare scenario no air defense was designed to face. The upgrades don't stop there. Russia's new engine reportedly delivers more thrust while burning less fuel, extending combat range and allowing supersonic maneuvers across vast distances. That means fewer refueling stops, greater endurance, and faster strike potential. While some Western experts remain skeptical, Moscow insists its first fully sixth-generation fighter could emerge before the end of this decade. But behind these claims lies an even darker secret. Russia is experimenting with AI-driven autonomy in its Su-57 fleet. These jets aren't just getting faster computers. They're being trained to make combat decisions without a pilot. In simulations, the AI has spotted, tracked, and attacked multiple targets simultaneously, and even cooperated with other aircraft mid-mission. That's something no human pilot, no matter how skilled, could do at the same speed. The bigger plan? Pairing one-man fighter with 4 autonomous drone wingmen in coordinated attack swarms. Add hypersonic weapons, able to strike anywhere on Earth in just 2 hours, and the threat becomes almost impossible to defend against. Stealth is advancing too. New heat-resistant coatings and adaptive materials could make the aircraft nearly invisible not just to radar, but to thermal sensors, cameras, and advanced surveillance systems. And perhaps most controversially, these AI-driven jets may one day select and fire on targets without human approval, a line the United States and its allies refuse to cross. While the West slows itself with multinational bureaucracy, Russia's centralized control lets it move faster. China is in the race as well, but with different priorities, setting the stage for a three-way global contest in air dominance. And here's the chilling part. These new jets may not only fight aircraft, they could jam satellites, shut down enemy communications, or launch cyber attacks without firing a single missile. In other words, they aren't just warplanes. They're flying arsenals of electronic warfare, designed to cripple an enemy before the battle even begins. Imagine a single aircraft with the power to shut down entire military networks, seize control of the skies, and paralyze enemy defenses in seconds. Russia's latest tests suggest their future fighters could become flying command centers, coordinating missions, disrupting communications, and striking targets all at once. The fusion of artificial intelligence, hypersonic speed, and autonomous weapons is rewriting the rulebook of air combat. Old strategies may soon collapse in a battlefield where machines react faster, strike smarter, and attack without warning. As Russia races ahead with tomorrow's technology today, the rest of the world scrambles to keep pace. The question is no longer if, but who will dominate the skies of 2030. Russia's rapid sixth-generation testing has ignited the fiercest aerospace competition since the Cold War. While Western projects remain tied to drawing boards and budget approvals, Moscow aims to field operational sixth-generation fighters by 2030, a timeline forcing defense planners from Washington to Tokyo into overdrive. Unlike Western programs that build entirely new jets from scratch, Russia takes a more ruthless approach, evolving existing aircraft, pushing radical upgrades into real flight tests, and skipping long computer simulations. This cuts development time from decades to just years. In contrast, America's next-generation air dominance program remains mired in concepts and delays. Focused on penetrating heavily defended airspace, it won't likely reach service until the mid-2030s, potentially 5 years after Russia. Production methods tell the same story. Russian contractors work under centralized direction, moving resources quickly and decisively. American programs face congressional battles, endless competition between contractors, and layers of bureaucracy that slow every stage of progress. Europe struggles with unity. France, Germany, and Spain's future combat air system now targets 2040 after disputes over leadership and technology transfer. Britain's global combat air program with Japan, and Italy shows promise with AI and autonomy, aiming for the early 2030s. But international coordination risks pushing it off schedule. Meanwhile, China's secretive BYU program focuses on the Pacific theater, prioritizing long-range, carrier-based strike jets that could tilt the balance in regional conflicts. Russia's head start traces back to 2014, when the Advanced Research Foundation launched sixth-generation research years before Western funding began. That momentum, combined with centralized decision-making, now pays dividends that competitors struggle to match. These jets aren't just weapons, they are the backbone of a wider system of systems. Russia plans to integrate sixth-generation fighters with ground defenses, satellites, and electronic warfare units to form layered shields over critical assets. NATO planners now admit that current doctrines, built on assumptions of Western air superiority, could be obsolete within the decade. The economics are just as striking. By upgrading existing platforms instead of designing new ones from the ground up, Russia reduces costs, bypasses sanctions, and accelerates deployment. Western projects, with their trillion-dollar price tags, face resistance from lawmakers and taxpayers alike. For allies who have long relied on American air dominance, these trends raise uncomfortable questions. If Russian sixth-generation fighters neutralize U.S. forward deployments, the global balance of power could shift. Already, nations in the Middle East and Asia are rethinking alliances, sensing a future where Moscow, not Washington, sets the pace of air warfare. The countdown to 2030 is underway, and with every test flight, every hypersonic trial, and every AI breakthrough, Russia is pulling the world into a new era of aerial combat, one where the skies may belong to those who can innovate the fastest. What if Russia's bold promises about its next generation fighter jets are nothing more than smoke and mirrors? Behind the headlines of secret tests and powerful claims lies a troubling reality that few are willing to admit. The global arms race isn't just about national defense anymore. It's about who can dominate the export markets. Nations looking for advanced jets find themselves with limited choices. American fighters come with strict restrictions. Chinese jets still lack combat credibility. And now Russia is pushing hard to position its sixth-generation fighters as the answer. On paper, it sounds impressive. Analysts warn that if Russia succeeds, it could tilt the balance of air power for the first time since World War II. But when you look closely, the picture changes. Take the Su-57. 14 years after its first flight, in 2010, fewer than 40 have been built. Compare that with China's J-20s or America's F-35s, rolling off production lines in the hundreds and thousands. Russia's slow pace reveals deep problems, economic struggles, sanctions, and the defense industry stretched thin by the war in Ukraine. Even stranger, these jets have not been used in combat. Instead of deploying them in Ukraine, Russia has kept them at home, raising doubts about whether the Su-57 is truly ready for battle. Western experts point to major flaws. It isn't as stealthy as claimed. Its radar signature is larger than rivals, and its engines are still borrowed from older aircraft. The export market isn't convinced either. Rumors point to Algeria as the first buyer, but secrecy and heavy discounts suggest desperation. Even India, one of Russia's closest defense partners, has backed away, citing doubts about stealth and performance.